Here's my honest and comprehensive Sony WH-1000XM5 review and whether they're still worth it today. For context, I'm going to be comparing these against its most popular competition, such as the Apple AirPods Max, the Bose QuietComfort Ultra, the Sennheiser Momentum 4, and the previous generation Sony WH-1000XM4. Hey there, OD from RecordingNow.com. We're on a mission to create the most comprehensive database of honest headphone wireless earbud reviews, comparisons, and overall rankings to help you make more informed purchase decisions and get the best value for your money. Did you know you can save up to $100 or more by shopping for any of these headphones renewed or refurbished in excellent condition or used? We'll have links for ways you can save money in the description and in a pinned comment below. If you're curious about any of the headphones I mentioned, visit RecordingNow.com or Google Recording Now to see all of our content. So if you're new here, we're going to look at every single category and give an objective score, then tally up the total at the end and give an overall score to these headphones so you can compare them against the rest. Okay, let's start with comfort. So the Sony WH-1000XM5 is one of the lightest headphones I have tested to date in this class of Bluetooth wireless active noise canceling headphones. They weighed in at 246.1 grams. There's only two headphones I've tested that are lighter, which would be the Bose QuietComfort 2023, which I actually do have here, and the very similar previous generation Bose QuietComfort 45. The XM5 is actually about 5 grams lighter than the previous generation XM4. For full context, the Apple AirPods Max is the heaviest in this class at 387 grams, with the Momentum 4 being the second heaviest at 292 grams. For me, I initially gave these a perfect 5 out of 5 for comfort, but after getting a lot of feedback and doing research online, along with doing so many head-to-head comparisons using the XM5, I've actually reduced that score to a 4.5 out of 5. And the reason being is that first, the top headband here, although I find it plush and I personally don't have as much of an issue, it is very skinny, so I think this creates a lot of pinpoint top of head pressure for some people. And in addition to that, one gripe that I already had in my original review is that the interior of the ear cups is very shallow. So my ears are clearly pressing against the fabric inside of these ear cups, and it can feel kind of claustrophobic. In contrast, looking at the Bose QuietComfort Ultra, these are much more spacious, and they also have an angled design to perfectly fit your ears so they feel more free inside of the ear cup. And I do think the clamping force is slightly a bit tight to make these feel a bit more claustrophobic. So overall, I still find these the second most comfortable headphone behind that Bose QuietComfort Ultra, but it is clearly not perfect once you add all of those little gripes. So for comfort, I'm giving these a 4.5 out of 5. Now let's move on to talk about features, build quality, battery life, and the noise canceling performance, which will combine into one score. So as far as features, the XM5 was actually released in May 2022, so it's a little bit older than some of the competitors today. It's still a modern headphone with most of those features, such as spatial audio, multiple active noise canceling modes and transparency mode, built-in microphones for taking calls, and a customizable EQ with the companion Sony app. In terms of accessories, it does come with a fairly nice hard shell case, including your speaker cable and charging cable. One issue I have with this versus the previous gen XM4 is these don't collapse and fold like they used to, so the case itself is actually rather bulky in size. Probably one of the bigger, if not the biggest case in this class. Now let's talk about build quality. So this is where I have the biggest gripe with these headphones. If you look at the hinge design here, this has been a notorious issue online, and I have seen examples of this hinge breaking. To get down to this lightweight, Sony did use quite a lot of plastic, but the hinge here is really the weak point. This is a bit worrisome for headphones that can cost close to $400. Every other headphone does feel more durable. Now for battery life, the XM5 is rated at 30 hours on a single charge, which is slightly above average for its class. The AirPods Max is 20 hours, the Bose QuietComfort Ultra is 24 hours, so these do a little bit better than those. But the standout is the class-leading Sennheiser Momentum 4 at a whopping 60 hours, which is just unheard of. Still, 30 hours is above average, and I only find myself needing to charge these maybe once every 1 to 2 weeks. All right, so let's talk about the noise canceling performance. This is where the Sony and the Bose headphones really shine. I think the XM5 is arguably the best active noise canceling headphone in terms of effectiveness. I find the XM5 and the Bose QuietComfort Ultra to be pretty much tied in this area for now. I find it to be more effective than headphones like the Momentum 4 and the AirPods Max, which I still do think that these two headphones are very good for noise canceling, like good enough to wear on flights, just not as good as the Sony or Bose headphones. There's over 20 levels of noise canceling customization between transparency mode and full active noise canceling, and you can also turn both modes off, which is a feature that I personally like. So for this category of features, build quality, battery life, and noise canceling performance, I'm giving these a 4.5 out of 5. It only loses points for that build quality. Other than that, the noise canceling itself does deserve a nearly perfect score here. Okay, let's move on to sound quality, which is going to get a bit more controversial. Now, I've read various things online, even from large publications and websites that say that these have the best sound quality in its class. For me, having a background as a professional music producer, audio engineer, and a musician, my opinion is that these actually have some of the worst sound quality in this class of headphones. So right out of the box, I was really underwhelmed when I first listened to these headphones. They had such a strange stock sound signature where it was quite muffled and it needed a lot more detail and airiness. Now, the saving grace to the XM5 is customizable EQ using the app. Initially, I found some settings on Reddit that I applied that immediately improved and created a night and day difference to make these so much livelier, so much more fun to listen to, and so much more detailed. Over time, I actually developed my own customized EQ that's more balanced than what I was seeing online, that aims to be a little bit more accurate while still being consumer friendly and fun. So I actually have my personalized EQ settings on the website for this blog post, and I am updating it from time to time as I spend more time with these headphones and refine it further. So I'm going to be comparing the sound quality with those EQ settings specifically versus stock. So starting with the bass, I find these to have a very fun, punchy bass response that has more emphasis on that mid and upper bass, like bass kicks, as opposed to the sub bass that other headphones do better. For the mids, the stock sound was quite muffled and muddy, but the EQ really brings out the mids and the treble much better. After EQ, the mids have some punchy dynamics, with those snare drums having a really nice pop to them and male vocals especially sounding fuller and more forward. I find these fun to listen to for genres like rock and metal, with electric guitars sounding nice and full with fairly realistic timbre and distortion crunch. The XM5 really excels for modern genres like pop, hip-hop, EDM. And in the treble, the EQ settings really push female vocals forward, which is mostly flattering and it's more intimate. This is an in-your-face sound that brings out a lot of detail, but it does sound artificial. The EQ adds airiness in the 10,000 and up frequency range, which opens up the headphones nicely. But I'd say the treble exposes some of the shortcomings of the XM5 as an audiophile headphone. As tracks get busy, the layers of vocals and instruments start to lose clarity. So just to be a little more critical, talking about the audiophile aspects of the XM5, these headphones have a tendency to be really impressive when you first listen to them, but that in-your-face sound that's not as nuanced does become fatiguing over time. The soundstage is quite narrow. Music sounds pretty 2D and flat compared to competitors like the QC Ultra and the Momentum 4, which are much more audiophile-friendly headphones. Everything is pushed artificially up front, so these don't have that nuanced resolution and separation versus those two I just mentioned. And there's just not a lot of depth and room in the soundstage for the different layers to breathe. Surprisingly, the timbre can be fairly realistic for instruments like electric guitar, which I do play, and they sound full and satisfying. And the snare drums also have a nice snap and punchiness to it, which I really enjoy. Vocals specifically, though, I think are some of the least realistic sounding in this class. Overall, this is a very fun and energetic headphone, and I personally enjoy casually listening to this more than some other headphones that may have better sound quality, depending on the genre and my mood. So overall, these are one of the most fun headphones in the class, but they're a bit of a one-trick pony in that they only really sound great for modern genres, and they really are exposed when it comes to the more acoustic and classical, jazz, and older music. So overall, after applying that EQ specifically, these headphones receive an 8.3 out of 10, which is a good score, but is the lowest in this class that it goes up against. All right, let's move on to value. So these headphones retail for $399 brand new. Currently, market price is between $328 to that full $399. So no doubt these are still expensive headphones today, but there are more expensive headphones like the Bose QC Ultra, which is $429 brand new, although I'm seeing them for $349 these days. And then the AirPods Max, of course, at $549, but I'm seeing between $450 to $500 brand new. When it comes to value, the Sennheiser Momentum 4 in this class of flagship wireless noise canceling headphones is the benchmark. It's the lowest priced competitor here while still being extremely competitive in every category. Then we have the previous generation XM4, which can be found around $250 or less now. So for value, I'm giving the XM5 a 4 out of 5 because these still bring a lot to the table as an overall package. Yes, the sound quality is slightly behind, but it's still competitive and it's still enjoyable for the average consumer who's not being as critical. The comfort is just second behind the QC Ultra. The noise canceling is world class, arguably number one. So yes, these are expensive, but you are getting a lot for your money, especially if you prioritize comfort and noise canceling over just pure sound quality. So overall, the Sony XM5 receives an 8.5 out of 10. This makes it one of the strongest all-arounders due to that noise canceling performance, that comfort, while still being competitive as far as the sound quality and being a decent value, considering that there are headphones that are much more expensive and then there are headphones that are slightly less expensive. It's at a pretty good sweet spot. So if you enjoyed this comprehensive review and found it helpful, hit the thumbs up button and leave a comment below letting me know. If you have any questions about any of the headphone models shared here or on the website and would like my opinion, leave in the comments below. I try to get back to as many people as possible. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell because we have a ton of content on the way this year. Again, there's links where you can save up to $100 or more in the video description or in a pinned comment below. I highly recommend you at least do some price shopping just to see what kind of value you can get. Lastly, if you want to see all of our content, including more comparisons, you can also use the search bar on our website so you can find a specific model or comparison. Head to recordingnow.com or simply Google Recording Now. Thanks for watching and happy listening.